champions. Sydney FC, they win the cup.
Last night, the Oakley Cannons showed just how it's done in the Australia Cup, knocking out the defending champions Sydney FC. Tonight, Rockdale Ilinden get the chance to beat A-League opposition in their third appearance in the Cup as they host Newcastle Jets. Good evening and welcome to Rockdale Ilinden Sports Centre. It's the round of 32 of the Australia Cup. And Rockdale are looking to cause a cup set. Eric Partaloo alongside for the call. Eric, this has all the hallmarks of a cracking clash. Rockdale leading the NPL New South Wales.
Yeah, it's going to be a top game tonight, and you can just feel it and sense it in that atmosphere at Rockdale tonight. And Urashevsky, there he is, their top goal scorer. Look for him early on, trying to make those runs in behind and scoring goals. The Newcastle Jets coming up with good results in Darwin. They'll have their tails up as well, but look, there's a lot of firepower up front for both sides. I'm expecting goals tonight.
We cannot wait for this one. And it's often said there's no time like the present, but for Rockdale tonight, that rings true. Top of the NPL New South Wales. They're into the Waratah Cup final. There is no better chance for one of the form member federation sides, not just in New South Wales, but in the country, to cause a cup set. They would become the 15th side to beat an A-League team in the Australia Cup. Let's have a look at the team news. 3 changes for Rockdale from the side that won 2-1 against Apia on Sunday. 2 goals in the last 15. And the man who scored the match winner, Dan Collins, he drops to the bench. Blake Rasciuto starts at centre-back. Yinka Sunmola, the one-time A-League player with the Mariners, he is also benched. Antonio comes in on the left wing. And Lockie Griffiths is in at right back for Hunter Elliott. For Rob Stanton's Newcastle Jets, there are 2 changes from the team who won 4-1 in the playoff against Western United. The big change, Lockie Rose on the bench, the new signing from MacArthur. He did start last week in Darwin, but benched for this one with Justin Vidic coming in. He scored his first A-League goal in his debut season last year against Adelaide. Phil Kankar is out with a hamstring injury he suffered last week. Nathan Grimaldi comes in, and Grimaldi, he scored in that 4-1 win over Western. So Rockdale currently sitting 6 points clear, as I mentioned, in the NPL New South Wales, but they have made Rockdale Ilinden Sports Centre a fortress. They have not lost here since March, and their coach Nick Stavroulakis, he's taking over from Paul D over the next month. He's away on a work trip, but he has a very strong bond with Rob Stanton. Would you believe when Rob Stanton was paving his way as a coach and won the Waratah Cup final with Sutherland in 2009, Nick Stavroulakis was the man who scored the winner for his side back in 2009. Vastly experienced referee Ben Abraham in charge of this one. And there he is, the Jets boss, who Nick Stavroulakis is opposite tonight, said had a big part to play in his coaching philosophy. Damir Pradanovic alongside for his second season as assistant with Rob Stanton. So the final team talk for Rockdale Ilinden. What an evening it is for them. Their third appearance in the Australia Cup final rounds. They've been to the round of 32 twice before. In 2015, they beat Perth 3-1. Perth Soccer Club that was, and then went down to victory, Melbourne Victory in the round of 16. And then in 2018 went out to Sydney FC. There's Giorgio Speranza. He scored a famous goal in the Australia Cup before, back in 2017 for Blacktown against the Mariners in a 3-2 win for Blacktown when they knocked out the Central Coast. And Tom Aquilina, isn't he in some great form? Goal scoring added to those rocket boots of his. 2 goals last week against Western United. So we are ready to go. A couple of thousand in the house tonight in Rockdale. So Rockdale hunt a cup set on consecutive nights in the Australia Cup as the Jets look to reach the round of 16 for just the third time. And Eric Partaloo, there is no better time for Rockdale than tonight, considering the form and the matches that they've played.
Yeah, they've played a lot of matches this season already, haven't they? At the tail end of their campaign in the NPL New South Wales. Just 4 games to go before they go into the final series. They're going back to playing finals football in New South Wales, but you can expect an aggressive start here from Rockdale. They're leading the league, and I think you'll see that reflect in the way that they are playing. They're not going to take a backward step tonight.
And that's something that Nick Stavroulakis mentioned, that they are going to play their style of football. They're not going to sit back. They are going to go at the Newcastle Jets. And this is the man, Urasevsky, who has scored 36 goals across all competitions, 28 in the league. And to give you a barometer, Roy O'Donovan is the next best Premier League player. Roy O'Donovan, just 18 goals. That's quite sizable, that difference. So first corner of the night, and it's dipping towards the back post. Falls for Speranza, who we mentioned before kickoff scored for Blacktown back in 2017. He was testing out Ryan Scott on that occasion. Danzo, he found Antonio, and now switch across to the right, testing out the legs of Constable. Urasevsky. Urasevsky still going. And in the end, he looked to be a cross. There wasn't a whole lot of angle on it, and none of his teammates could get on the end of it.
Expect to see a lot of this tonight. It's getting the ball into Brennan Chalakian in the middle of the park, and when they find Urashevsky, he's just so good at jinking and getting past and getting himself into the box where he can make himself a nuisance. Just needed somebody across that 6-yard box there.
Now Newcastle with an opportunity. Rashuto tried to put a full stop on it, but eventually Rockdale able to clear it away thanks to Lockie Griffiths. So there's a few ex-teammates from Western Sydney Wanderers Academy days. We just saw Daniel Wilmering, one of those for the Jets. Mark Natter, Costa Grozos, Aquilina as well. And on the Rockdale side of things, Constable, Pelikanos, who are in the starting side, and Sun Mola, who's on the bench. I've been told there's been some group chat messages exchanged this week between those 7.
Hopefully not giving away any tactical information, but you expect that. That's the production line now, isn't it, in Western Sydney? And it's great to see that filter through both sets of levels in terms of playing, you know, semi-professional and at a professional level at the Newcastle Jets, of course.
And two sides, as we mentioned, with somewhat similar philosophies, with Rob Stanton coming up against his old captain at Sutherland in Nick Stavroulakis. And a lot of members of that squad slash coaching staff have gone on to work as coaches. Giancarlo Italiano, another one of those. He's at Wellington now. He was the under-20s boss at that time. Damir Pradanovic, of course, has come through assistant at Newcastle. So he's certainly had influence far and wide, the current Newcastle Jets boss.
You know, I think, you know, Nick Stavroulakis deserves a special mention as well for what he's been able to achieve so far this season. He's a guy that's been around Australian football from all sorts of angles for quite a number of years now, and it's no surprise that he's got his side playing the way that they are, aggressive on the front foot here from the start.
Aquilina did well to ride those challenges, and now Vidic strong in the box initially. Rockdale winning out. Newcastle with a chance to recycle through Ingham. You can hear the messages coming from both coaches. Plenty of barking on the sideline. looked to be a handball from Rockdale, but Ben Abraham probably unsighted, and this will just be an Ilinden throw.
The game's not settled down, has it? And you can expect it on this slippery surface as well. It did get a little bit of rain earlier, which does help the artificial surface move that ball quickly, but it's Rockdale looking to try and play quickly through lines.
Just wonder as well, as an A-League player coming back to this surface, I know a lot of these boys would have played on synthetic growing up and doing a bit of training, but when you're not used to training on it every day, the impact on your body is a little more severe than the grass.
And the way that you play as well. I think you look to try and play more passes that are accurate, and to try and play and move and play a certain way of possession-based football. You can't really start hoofing the ball and putting things in the corners and chasing things and playing percentages. So it'll suit both sides. That, you know, both sides like to keep the ball.
Ingham played every match for the Jets in the A-League last season. Now Aquilina. Ingham returned it to the Jets flyer, and it's just going to be a throw. It's just spun in front of the corner flag. Ingham around the outside, stepped away from Antonio. Aquilina curling it in, dangerous delivery. Almost got a little awkward there for Rockdale, but they're able to get it away and then win a relieving free kick.
Well, I tell you what, Nick Sorensen goals didn't really see that one coming, did he? That cross from Aquilina was quite high in the air, and it just got caught in the wind. Wonder if that's going to be a factor tonight.
Timmins. Grimaldi looking to use Wilmering. Jets' first choice left back this season, with Lucas Moragas exploring pastures a little further south of Newcastle, heading to the Central Coast Mariners. Here he is again, the Jets' left back, and now Grozos, the captain, to start these first two matches of the season. They haven't officially announced their captain for the upcoming campaign, Newcastle. Ingham. Good drive from Aquilina, stabs it in towards the middle, and that's a confidence-boosting grab for Nick Soros, who's only actually come into this Rockdale side in the last couple of months, because Harrison Devonish Mears, who started the season with Rockdale, he is Sydney FC's second choice.
Yeah, he's got some experience himself, hasn't he, Nick Soros, playing in the A-League setup, but it's a good little start there just to try and catch something, and Newcastle Jets are starting to put their authority in that final third, getting a few chances here and there, and their pressure looks really, really good tonight. That movement, Rockdale just trying to play out from the back, and look how far back you've got to get Antonio to receive the ball. That's your left winger, so they're really trying to play hard to get out here, Rockdale.
Aquilina was desperate to earn that free kick. Eventually heard the whistle of Ben Abraham. So Newcastle Jets, couple of matches this season. 4-0 defeat to Sydney in the pre-season. First pre-season trial, 4-1 over Western. And they're about a month back into the season, the pre-season training. And you compare that to Rockdale, 31 games this season across the Cup and the League, and that's not taking into account their pre-season matches. So Nick Stavroulakis' side, they've got a busy few weeks ahead. They've got the Waratah Cup final as well coming up. And if they go deep in this Australia Cup, it's just going to add a little more with the NPL finals too. Restored in New South Wales this season after it was just first past the post last season.
calm and composed from the Jets at the moment, just trying to figure out exactly what Rockdale are going to do defensively. And it's usually Urashevsky applying that first press, and here he goes again. If he gets in those positions, they can cause trouble, but they're good enough to play out the Jets. That's exactly what they want to do.
Clayton Taylor tracked it down. His speed was excellent. Wilmering now with Timmins, leaves it for Vidic. And Vidic shoots, and Vidic scores! Well, what a decision from Rob Stanton to start Vidic instead of Lockie Rose. And he's opened the scoring with his first goal in the cup.
Just magic. Just magic. And it's been a great start from the Jets, just playing their way out of trouble across the back line. And it comes down to inches, and there's just little inches there to get the touch out wide. And the ball in, just to find a number inside the box. It was the big man, Vidic, getting himself all the way across. And from that angle, you're expecting him possibly to shoot the ball wide, but he wrapped that foot around it and gave Nick Soros absolutely no chance.
He's so strong, and maybe opposition teams, when you look at him, don't realise how good he is at holding up the ball, Justin Vidic, and you can see why Rob Stanton has brought him into the side for tonight's match. There's a problem here for Urashevsky. They don't need that, Rockdale, not tonight, but as well heading into the back end of the campaign. Let's hope he gets to his feet.
Tough tackle, and from behind as well from Grimaldi. Certainly looked like a foul from there, but they have to get their heads now, Rockdale. They're 1-0 down, they're at home. They're not used to losing games of football, so this is going to be a really good test for the home side.
Vidic getting himself about once again. And you just go back to that opportunity. Clayton Taylor, how often do we see it? How often do we talk about it? That speed off the mark, that ability to just get that touch that then allowed the space for Wilmering, and the chance presents itself. They
have great firepower up front this season, the Newcastle Jets. You touched on Lockie Rose being brought to the club, and we were thinking that as well. It was a tactical sort of decision from the coach to leave him out and put the big man up, but it's paid off already.
Wilmering had a big part to play in that opening goal, and you did sense that when Rob Stanton signed Lockie Rose, you thought, well, is it going to be all-out attack with speed? Because last year they had Stamatolopoulos, who was more of that hold-up player, good target, and Rob Stanton said, well, no, we like having a player like that, and Justin Vidic is playing that role here tonight. As the ball floated to Aquilina, Vidic making himself a nuisance in the box.
Well, you've got to continually add layers to your game, and the Newcastle Jets didn't have a great A-League campaign. They know this season, especially Robbie Stanton knows he has to have a big season. So tonight, against a physical backline of Rockdale, perhaps that's the strategy, to go with a bit more strength through the middle. And Lockie Rose must be sweating a little bit on that bench tonight.
Timmins to slip it into Aquilina. I'm just fascinated, and I'm sure Rob Stanton will explain post-match, just his decision-making there, because I'm sure everyone would have seen the lineups and gone, that's an interesting move. Rose on the bench, but he would have had a reason for it, and it'd be very interesting to hear those cogs in the brain explaining how and why he made that decision, because it's come up trumps at the moment. Clayton Taylor wheeling around. Now Dane Ingham trying to get that right boot unfurled. Antonio and Esperanza really been hemmed in at the moment. Rockdale Ilinden. Newcastle dominating possession.
Gee, they look good just getting numbers around the ball, haven't they? Just going and pressing and understanding the role tonight, that if the ball goes forward in that final third and they do lose it, it's about how quickly can they regain possession. And they did a lot of this against Western United in the playoff in Darwin a week ago. They were really sharp in regaining the ball.
Ingham in behind for Aquilina, squaring it up towards Timmins. And now he leaves it for Grozos, who almost hit the ice cream truck out the back.
Lucky that net was there. Good to see a midfielder stepping in and getting a shot away. But Rockdale, they've got to get the ball under control now. They've got to keep it away from Newcastle and mount some sort of spell of sustained pressure with the ball.
Ryan Scott's ball cut out, and Rockdale not going to trouble the Newcastle Jets goal with a cross like that. Vidic dropping a little deeper, and Rockdale now, this could be a moment for them. In behind, Ryan Scott comes out and he dives on the ball as Urashevsky threatened to open the scoring for Rockdale. Had he got around the Jets keeper, it probably would be 1-1.
Just needed a bigger touch, didn't he, to try and get past. It was really, really cute. It's a great pass forward into the feet of Urashevsky, who nutmegs the keeper and just couldn't get enough purchase on it. Ryan Scott just able to gather that one in.
Ryan's got a man who knows what it's like to play for a member federation club and knock off A-League opposition. He went through to the semi-finals back in 2018 with Bentley. 1-0 win over Wellington Phoenix. And it's nights like that which helped him earn an opportunity with Western United, firstly as a backup and an injury replacement for James Delianov there at Western United, but then to get his chance at Newcastle and really lock down that spot over the last season and a bit. Grozos, key win in midfield for Newcastle. Ingham and Aquilina. Tries a little nutmeg, but he's too experienced for that, is Giorgio Speranza, the 33-year-old. Rockdale away here. Antonio, early delivery.
And that's going to be the problem for them, trying to find that pass to Urashevsky all the time. They've got to try and mount sustained possession. As I said before, if they try and go too quickly, they're just going to give the ball straight back to the Jets, and that's exactly how they like it, keeping the ball. They have a little bit more quality playing through the lines as well.
And that pass is misguided from Grimaldi. They rush forward through Constable. Tough angle for Lockie Constable. Thought about Pelicanos, and the blue shirts of Newcastle drop back, and Grimaldi able to clear initially, and then Aquilina in the end just thumps his boot through it.
And just like that, the chance is gone. They need to make more of those opportunities, don't they? When they get forward and they can find a pass. I just thought he held on to the ball just a little bit too long there, Lockie Constable.
Lovely pass, lovely movement from Urashevsky. Again, it is a tight angle. He cuts it back, driven towards goal by Antonio. But the Baker, as he's known, Urashevsky, works as a Baker. He's coming to the fore in the last few minutes for Rockdale Ilinden, starting to get a few more half opportunities. Blake Rashuto there, you won't miss him in 22. Singapore Premier League winner back in 2019. Returned to Rockdale, who he played for in the last decade before heading over to Singapore, where he was for the last 4 seasons before returning home to Australia this season. Nice run from Danzo across the face of goal, and Aquilina able to nudge it away. Constable uses Speranza. That's Roberto. Urashevsky. Aquilina. That is a textbook tackle. But Newcastle have been a little sloppy in the last few minutes, just giving away possession. They get away with it there. It was a tired-looking pass from Pelikanos. A lazy one, you'd probably say, but maybe there is a little bit of fatigue creeping in. They've had a lot of matches, midweek matches in recent weeks, and the pace of this game has been high. They get a relieving free kick here, Rockdale, just to get a bit of a breather.
And they've got a lot of intelligent players out there that can draw in fouls, like Brendan Chalaki and Pelikanos, and it's been really exciting to see them making those forward runs into the box to add the extra number. We talked about trying to find support for Urashevsky, and it was actually Danzo getting forward from that number 6 position as well. So they're finding their way through here, Rockdale, at the moment.
Ball in towards the box, nodded away by Grozos. Timmins found the pass to Taylor. You do not want to give him a moment's peace, because he really can show his speed, Clayton Taylor. Big part to play in that opening goal for Justin Vidic. And Taylor, with space around him, opts to find the pass into midfield for Grozos. Flowing forward, Newcastle. Taylor. Grozos clips it up, and Soros decided against catching. As Eric mentioned a little earlier, we did have rain probably about half an hour before kickoff, so it is a little bit slippery, and Soros, he didn't want to take any chances.
A lot of goalkeepers now opting to punch just in case anything drops down after they catch it, but it's a big risk sometimes if you don't get the right angle or the trajectory where you want to play the ball. But the Jets are really looking good when they're playing out from the back. They're able to get through those lines and create those chances, and it's good to see both goalkeepers being tested early on here.
Natta spied the run of Wilmering. Prosciutto and Griffiths work it away for Rockdale, but only as far as Taylor. Wilmering, Taylor, and Timmins just tried to push it out towards Daniel Wilmering. Now Grimaldi steps in. There will be some space at the back if Rockdale can go quickly, but Newcastle shut off the avenues, and now it's Prosciutto. Urashevsky gets some support from Antonio. Chalakian and Speranza. Now Antonio. The turn from Chalakian. This is neat from Rockdale, and the final delivery from Antonio just overhit, but they've got to take some confidence out of that.
That back line for the Jets too possibly need to step themselves up a bit further, not allowing Urashevsky to receive that ball straight away under no pressure. They look for him every single time they're trying to relieve pressure, Rockdale, because he's the main man. Get the ball into his feet, get around him, and something will happen.
So just past the midway mark of this first half at Rockdale Ilinden Sports Centre, Newcastle, after winning that Australia Cup playoff last week against Western United, 4-1 in Darwin. Very much different conditions for them here today in Sydney, but on the scoreboard, Justin Vidic, you can see there, his first goal in the Australia Cup. And what a moment to do it here against the leaders in the NPL New South Wales.
Yeah, both teams quite aggressive, haven't they? The first 26 minutes or so, and it's good to see the energy is up, particularly from Rockdale's point of view. Here's that goal earlier on from Vidic. It's just great play, great hold-up play from the big man, and to be able to get yourself and turn and swivel and put it in the corner. It was a really, really well taken shot, and they deserve their lead at 1-0.
Damir Pradanovic, you can just see having a chat to Cal Timmins as Rockdale just sort themselves out. Just notice there, Justin Vidic is really growing into his body as well. 20 years of age, made his debut, as I mentioned, in December last year. So, of course, teenager, and at that stage, very much not at his full capacity body shape wise, but he is a very strong lad, isn't he? And he's only going to get stronger. Yeah, and full of confidence too, which I think comes with youth as well. And it's great to see him get the start tonight, to get the goal. I'm interested now to see, can he go on with it? Can he put it in there for a full 90-minute performance? That's what Robbie Stanton will have picked him for, and hope that when they progress through these games, because they're playing against men here, against Rockdale, can he go and give the two central defenders a tough time now and possibly get himself another goal? But I've been really impressed with his hold-up play so far. So the Rockdale junior, Roberto Speranza, that was a while ago. He's 31 years of age now, with his brother Giorgio in this side. Just getting his head taped, stop the flow of blood after that clash. Mentioned a little earlier, he was part of that Blacktown side that upset the Mariners back in 2017. They went all the way through to the quarterfinals that year. They went to the quarterfinals in 2016 as well. So vast experience at beating A-League opposition, but they're going to have to come from behind here tonight if they want to pull it off the home side. Antonio. That's what they did on the weekend, with potentially the NPL New South Wales Premiership slipping through their fingers, because they lose on the weekend. All of a sudden, Marconi right in the race. Instead, they win 2 goals in the last 15 minutes, and it's a 6-point gap. Incredible, isn't it? And to think that Marconi Stallions beat Rockdale 9-0 this season, a complete freak result from Rockdale. They just did not turn up on that occasion, but for every other game it's been business as usual. But as you said, it's going to have to be from behind here, and they've got to learn how to try and get this ball back from Newcastle Jets. They're really making it hard for them to find possession. Natta slipped it to Wilmering, and now Clayton Taylor just had it pinched off his toes by Constable. Came through the Western Sydney Wanderers Academy there, the number 11 for Rockdale. He actually played for Western Sydney in that friendly against Leeds United back in 2019. I would have said that was only a couple of years ago, but you've got to minus 2 years due to the pandemic, Eric. Right. And then you're there. Urashevsky getting the better of Natta. Still going, Alek Urashevsky slips it across. Antonio with the equalizer. And the former Sydney FC man gets Rockdale back on parity with the Newcastle Jets. Well, great teams find a way, don't they? In the rain at Rockdale. It was a beautiful sweeping move. Almost on that counter-attack where they've been so dangerous all this season.
finding their main man, Urashevsky, in space. And he do well to slow down and draw out the defenders and also to draw out Ryan Scott. And he rolls it across there. And Antonio will not have an easier finish this season on that surface. It's 1-1.
And haven't we got a match here? We just told you, Rockdale, they have done it from behind recently in the league. As recent as Sunday. There's some muscle memory there. And Antonio brings it back to 1-1. Made his debut with Sydney FC in the Cup in Wollongong. Didn't play for the Sky Blues in the A-League competition, but it shows you his quality. If you're in a senior A-League side and in a system, you have some pedigree.
Well, possibly he wouldn't have been playing tonight if it wasn't for the injury of Mathieu Cordier as well on that side. So it's been a great little couple of games by Antonio, and a solid finish, really composed. And the Newcastle Jets are a little bit rattled by that goal.
Well, they spoke about it a lot last season, Newcastle being a young side. Ryan Scott, their keeper, said this year there's no excuses. We spoke about being a young side a lot last year. No excuses in 2024-25 season. Well, this is a big test for them. Away from home against Rockdale. Delivery's a good one. Pinball in the box. Can they get it away? Grimaldi does eventually. Well, hasn't this set up beautifully? You just knew the NPL New South Wales leaders were not going anywhere, despite trailing 1-0 initially. Aquilina and Vidic.
Yeah, there's nothing better when you're scoring the equalising goal. You just want to try and go for the other one. And it's exactly what they're doing here, Rockdale, just plying on the pressure. They know that there's something more in this game, and it's right now. Nick Stavroulakis calling the troops to get forward.
Nick Stavroulakis spent some time in the Empoli system in Italy, also with Peterborough and Eastleigh in England during the middle part of the 2000s before returning home. Did get a trial at Brisbane Roar under Frank Farina, but he was sacked soon after that, so opportunity to play in the A-League went by, and he was a key player, as I mentioned, in Rob Stanton's Sutherland side, who won a number of trophies during his spell at the helm, and now he's taken over from Paul D, the Rockdale coach. For the moment, Paul D away on a business trip is what Rockdale have said, and they're expecting him to be back maybe in the next month.
Well, it's no surprise what Nick Stavroulakis is doing, though, is it? He's been around football for a long time. I spent a lot of time with Stava when I was a kid playing with the New South Wales Institute of Sport, and you could see then and there that he just had that football brain, the ability to know what he was doing and know what he wanted to do, and that was to be involved in football. And this team, this Rockdale side, has been all about him coaching, encouraging, and there's a lot of blueprint in what his career was like as a player. You can see it. They like to keep possession, but they're aggressive as well.
This is a whistle which goes against the home side. They were away there. That man's team, Nick Stavroulakis. So Rockdale dominating that statistic. Shots on goal. It was Newcastle probably for the opening 20 minutes, you'd say, Eric, and then Rockdale the last 15. They've just come into the game and nabbed that equaliser. Ingham's delivery has some shape to it, but Soras out comfortable to claim.
And I suppose that's the challenge for the Newcastle Jets. You touched on that earlier about how do they progress as a team. And this is the challenge now when you go up 1-0 and then concede a goal. What's the reaction like? What's the game plan? Does it change? And do you lose or do you keep your heads? So it's a great test this early in the pre-season, but we're going to get a good indication of what the Newcastle Jets are going to be like this season.
And great indication of what they've learnt from last year, because we remember in the A-League there was a lot of games they scored first, had the advantage, second half came around and they dropped the bundle, conceded late goals, and it really hurt them in the end. That you think about the points they dropped, they would have been right up there in the race for the top 6, and Rob Stanton spoke about that. So that is the progression you're talking about, Eric, in this season of the A-League coming up.
Yeah, a lot of draws as well in that season for them. Only the 6 wins and was it 11 points off the top 6. So there's a lot of work to do, and I'm sure Robbie Stanton knows that. That's the challenge for him. But with a good bunch of young players, what you do get with the young players is effort, and they listen. They want to take on information. They want to get better, and they're probably that little bit easy to mould as well, I guess.
Just a little too far in front of Dane Ingham. You heard the cries from the Jets bench. They're happy with the ball, but in the end, Ingham just couldn't reach it on what is a very slick surface here. Damp on the synthetic tonight at Rockdale. And cries from Rockdale. You heard the connection there from Grozos. I'd love to see this on the replay. It's a yellow card from Ben Abraham, but you heard the sound of the boot on body.
It's Chalakian, and he's that slippery customer that looks for those little getaways with the ball to try and suck the defenders in and wait for contact. And in these little moments of the ball being in dispute, it didn't really look like a lot of contact there, but you certainly heard it from Grozos just going through the back and possibly just catching the back of that ankle for Brendan Chalakian.
Two-time NPL New South Wales champion Chalakian, won with Manly United in that penalty shootout in 2017, and then with Sydney Olympic in 2022, and actually been to the round of 16 in the Australia Cup with Manly United back in 2016, and Olympic in 2021. They went down to Sydney FC a couple of years ago, or a few years ago now, when he was at Olympic. And that's the experience across the board for Rockdale. You've got players that have either played in the A-League, been in A-League systems, and if they haven't, they've played in the pointy end for a member federation club of the Australia Cup, whether it be quarterfinals, semi-finals.
It's just good to watch a team that's got a great attitude, and it's exactly what Rockdale have been doing all season in the NPL New South Wales. It's about a whole season performance, yes, but it's things like that, going and winning a header. Now it's about control, and they've got to have that experience, and you only get that from playing football matches. So for some of these younger players at Newcastle, it's a great experience coming up against Rockdale tonight.
Antonio down the left, cuts it back, earns a corner for Rockdale. So what an opportunity this is for Ilinden. Final 5 minutes before half time. They have looked dangerous from the set pieces. Is this a moment they can take the advantage? Tough night to be a keeper, and that delivery was too close, made it too easy for the man in bright yellow. And here's the man with the bright yellow boots in Wilmering. Rockdale sweeping around to break it down, and now Griffiths gets the attack started with Antonio, Chalakia, and Speranza. Danzo Spotted Antonio. Delivery in front of Speranza, and Grimaldi just stooped to nod it over for another corner.
That was super play from Rockdale there. Just identifying in the middle of the park. Nobody was stepping out and closing down from the Jets. The two holding midfielders stationary, and it allowed Dunzo just to play that one out. And the movement's phenomenal from Speranza, getting himself forward. Could he have just maybe thrown his leg at that one?
So more pressure for Newcastle to absorb. Corner is deep, but again, too close to the goalkeeper. Constable back into the mix. Rashuto, with the hair flying, very nearly was able to put Rockdale ahead 2-1. He scored some important goals for them this season.
Almost got his head on that one, didn't he? And it's about that attitude we talk about. We're heading close to half-time now, and they're still pressing for that goal. Just got himself into an offside position, but it's great to see him putting on pressure on Ryan Scott. He had two unchallenged, getting the ball in the air, the goalkeeper, the last two. So somebody's got to go and put pressure on him.
And Speranza just using his body to ensure Vidic couldn't get close to that forward delivery. So Rockdale coming home the stronger in this first half. It's at this point Newcastle, I just want to get into the sheds and get a message from Rob Stanton, because at the moment it's Rockdale who are dictating the terms of this match.
Well, I know they're playing the A-League, but it is very daunting coming to a team that's been winning. It doesn't matter where or what competition they're playing in. When you're coming to somebody else's backyard and you know you're up against it now, and they're sitting there chomping and biting and scrapping now for every loose ball, this becomes a difficult game for the Newcastle Jets.
Well, it's a bit of chaos all around. Pelikanos is hitting the floor, grabbing at his face. Now, Ben Abraham thought for a moment he was going to come and have a chat to his assistant. He's just going to call the Rockdale trainer on. I'm sure he's having a conversation right now.
Well, there's always going to be contact in the middle of the pitch, isn't there? And there was a high elbow. I think that's what Pelikanos was saying there to the referee. It's just a little trailing arm, but nothing more than that. He was just up there protecting himself in that battle. Timmins, Pelikanos just sort of went down and decided he'd try and get something from the referee before half-time.
You're saying not even worthy of being a yellow card for Timmins there. You're saying just a foul?
Yeah, he's watching the ball. There's no elbow. It's a stray hand, maybe. The referee has got a tough job in there. He doesn't get a replay, you know.
I know, it's very easy for us. Carney Robinson and Matty Adlam, the assistants, and Nathan Shakespeare, the fourth official. What do you call the fourth official? The complaints department, is that right?
They've got to wear earplugs at the best of times, don't they?
He's fired up, Pelikanos. So we're trickling towards the half-time break. Rockdale with a chance to reset at half-time, just freshen up a little bit. They had that clash on Sunday, 2-1 over Apia, right down to the wire, especially considering the race for the premiership and the NPL New South Wales. It's a 6-point gap for them with 4 matches to go. What an achievement it would be, because they haven't won that premiership outside of the COVID year in 2020, and a few clubs. Chatting to Dennis, the president of Rockdale, but also Nick Savralakis, a few of the other clubs put an asterisk on that year. So Rockdale want to say, well, you know what, we have done it, and they're very, very close to securing it.
well, a trophy's a trophy at the end of the day, isn't it? But I understand what the rest of the competition are thinking, but they're a great team to watch. And it's a great little battle there with Vidic getting himself involved there.
It looked a bit like 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Referee goes with Prosciutto, just given a tug by Justin Vidic, who started this match really well. It's been a little quiet over the last half hour, but you'd probably say that about most of the Jets.
Yeah, and I think, you know, Rockdale will want this half to continue on. They will not want to go to the sheds because they're starting to play their brand of football and they're starting to upset the Newcastle Jets players. You can see them getting in there, nipping in and getting stuck in, and they're not allowing those easy passes that they were allowing in the first 20 minutes or so.
So confirmation, 3 minutes of additional time in this first half. One of those have already expired. Just slipped in there, didn't he? Cal Timmins got himself in a good position between Rockdale players and was able to earn the whistle. So a key free kick in these closing stages.
It's exactly what you want. Dying stages of a half, getting a set piece, and possibly, if they get something here, not allowing Rockdale to have any sort of reply. It's a great little flick on there from Vidic, and he does really well there, doesn't he? Getting through Timmins.
So Prosciutto is being called into the headmaster's office here. And Ben Abraham saying, I'm keeping an eye on you. So one of the final chances of this first half. Grozos, lovely delivery, and Newcastle have the goal right on the stroke of half-time. And what a first half it has been from the poacher himself, Justin Vidic. Earning the ire of the home fans. He doesn't care. He's loving it. He's right up for the fight tonight.
Well, the Jets may have a great goal scorer up for them this season, and he knows how to throw himself about inside the box, and it was a decent little delivery in there. That line extremely high from Rockdale, and from then on it was just pinball. They couldn't clear their lines, but the big man Vidic was not going to be denied his second goal of the half. It's been a great 45 minutes for him. The number 9.
Well, we touched on it a little earlier, and we don't want to sound like a broken record, but wow, coaching masterclass, isn't it? Lockie Rose benched, Vidic starts. Vidic 2 goals in this first half, and how crucial could that goal be right on the stroke of half-time for Newcastle? You'd almost say an innocuous free kick. Cal Timmins wins it. Grozos with the perfect delivery. It caused chaos, and it means at half-time at Rockdale Ilinden Sports Centre, Rockdale Ilinden FC 1, Newcastle Jets 2. And that Vidic goal in the 3rd minute of stoppage time cancels out the Antonio equaliser.
Just a great half of football on a Wednesday night in Sydney, and the ball just bounced around that midfield for most of that game, didn't it? A lot of challenges going, flying in, and elbows, and the referee having to make a quick decision.
We'll be back with all the halftime analysis right after this.
Rockdale, ANS Training, Newcastle, Lions, Consignment Office for Scotland.
Welcome back to Rockdale Ilinden Sports Centre, and what a first half we have witnessed. The NPL New South Wales ladder leaders really testing out the Newcastle Jets, who are looking to make it through to the round of 16 for just the third time in their Australia Cup history. By Antonio getting the equaliser for Rockdale Ilinden. The home fans, they were up and about, but it was Justin Vidic right on the stroke of half-time who put Newcastle back in front. Former Socceroo Eric Partaloo alongside for this one. Eric, great first half, but a real sucker punch, and they'll head in at half-time. Rockdale a little deflated.
They certainly will, and particularly being at home, not losing a lot of games this season. But for the Jets, we talked about that spine and that response and maybe the progression of how they're going to be a football club this year in the A-League. Well, they showed a lot of grit and desire to get themselves back into the game. And let me tell you, you go into half-time, that team talk's completely different now for Robbie Stanton.
And Justin Vidic, the decision by Robbie Stanton to play him ahead of Lockie Rose, well, what a decision.
Great decision. We don't know the full extent of why Lockie Rose didn't play, but it's come up trumps because the big man is having a night to remember. That ball in again from Wilmering, just finding those little gaps, and look at the footwork he's got for such a big guy. That's unusual, and that's a lot of time spent on the training ground getting himself into those positions.
First goal in the Australia Cup final rounds, and what an evening for him. Just giving it to the defender a little bit on the way through, Lockie Griffiths. But this was a period where Rockdale just got themselves into the game. They started to create more chances.
They're a dangerous side, and here's the equalising goal for Antonio. Great work from Danzo to win the ball back in midfield, and Urashevsky, whenever he gets the opportunity, he is so dangerous in that final third, and they've got to be careful, the Jets. He's the danger man. They've got to try and occupy the space a bit more for him.
So that was 1-1, and you thought that Rockdale were going to go into the second half on level pegging, and then final action of the half, Justin Vidic with a double.
Well, you wouldn't expect it because the line is so high from the Rockdale defenders, which allows possibly their space for the goalkeeper to attack. But it's a great ball in from Costa Grosas, first of all, and just sort of made that really uncomfortable for the back line. But Vidic poached it in for his second.
So those are the match stats, and look at that extra. Newcastle gets 0.22. That really stands out to me, Eric. Anything standing out to you?
It's always about the final third entries, but very, very similar in terms of what we're seeing and the amount of passes being made. It's all very, very equal. But the way that they're playing Rockdale, it's about going forward quickly, getting the ball forward for Urashevsky. But the Jets, they're getting that passage of play, and the big man up front. If he can hold a few things more up in the second half, I think he can find himself possibly even more goals.
So Rockdale, they have the job to do in the second half if they want to make it through to the round of 16 of the Australia Cup for just the second time, the last time back in 2015, where they beat Perth Soccer Club here at home, and then they went down to Melbourne victory in the round of 16 at Jubilee Oval. So they have shown, we touched on it in the first half, that they have come back from behind this season on a number of occasions, especially on the weekend. On Sunday, they were down 1-0 heading into the final 15 minutes against Apia, and they fought back to win it 2-1. So they will believe the home side. They have shown enough in the first half to do just that. Alrighty, we'll be back for the second half very, very shortly from Rockdale Ilinden Sports Centre, where it's the hosts down 2-1 against the Newcastle Jets. That's the effects. Testing. Test 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'll see if I can hear myself through Eric's.
We have some upcoming fixtures here on Rockdale. This Sunday we are playing the league against Buildup Wolves at Lynch Stadium, 3 p.m. It's round 27 action of the New South Wales NPL competition. Next Sunday we are at home here against Sutherland Sharks. It's like the derby, 3 p.m. kickoff. That's here against Sutherland Sharks. Next Sunday, 3 p.m. kickoff. Back to the last crowd down here to support the boys in Marshall League. It's a great game as we close out our season. We also have a few limited seats available for our annual ball, which is taking place Friday night here in the Sports Centre. Anyone wishes to purchase tickets, see one of our community members. That's the annual Ilinden ball. We're commemorating a special day in the calendar for the here at Rockdale. This Friday night, Ilinden Sports Centre. It's a 6 p.m. start. a few limited seats. As I said, if you want to purchase a ticket, please see one of our committee members. Reminder as well, it's not too late to become a Rockdale member. If you wish to become a member, there's an online process. Have a look at our Facebook page or our website for details. Become a member and enjoy benefits including discount at our canteens and all of our home fixtures.
It's match day 2 of the Australia Cup, round of 32 in 2024, the 10th edition of the Australia Cup. And it's the Newcastle Jets who have only been past this stage on a couple of occasions before, back in 2018 when they went through to the round of 16, and in 2019 when they went through to the quarterfinals. Those are the only 2 occasions the Jets have made it past the last 32, and in both of those campaigns they're the only times they've faced member federation opponents. Gold Coast Knights in 2018 in the round of 32, they won 1-0, and against Edgeworth, the local derby, they won 5-0 in, well actually 5-1 I believe, because Daniel McBreen scored, so I can't forget that, in 2019. So this is their 3rd meeting against member federation opposition. And they lead 2-1. Justin Vidic, Eric Partaloo with 2 in that first half.
Incredible start from him, and a great decision from the coach to put him straight through the middle to try and occupy those 2 big defenders for Rockdale Ilinden. And Robbie Stanton still has Lockie Rose on the bench to come into the game. So it's early in the season, but it's great to see them have 2 different dimensions up front already.
So break glass in case of emergency is the Lockie Rose button. At the moment, they'll be happy with the scoreline. So Newcastle looking to punch their ticket through to the round of 16. They've got a 2-1 lead. Rockdale trying to cause a cup set and make it cup sets on consecutive nights. They showed us enough in the first half, Eric, but they're going to need to show us more to get into this one.
I only learnt that word yesterday, cup set, and I can't stop saying it enough because it certainly is one of those. But Rockdale have been really good value the whole season for themselves, and they're an NPL competition, and they find ways, this Rockdale side. They got themselves into the game, but they've got to be here, and they've got to be quick to stop the Newcastle Jets early on in this second half.
So speaking of cup sets, 14 now in the history of the Australia Cup in this now the 10th edition. So that's about 1 and a little bit per season. Pretty good average. We've already had 1 this year.
How do you define a cup set? Because, I mean, you know, in terms of the A-League sides and the NPL, but Rockdale in their own right, one of the best teams in the country right now.
Yeah, well, the definition they use is obviously A-League against member federation, but I'm sure you look down the years, there are some incredible cup sets that have happened. South Springvale, if you remember that from the first year, is certainly one of those where they came from about the 4th or 5th tier and beat Edgeworth, sorry, South Cardiff it was, from Newcastle. So, yeah, it's such a great competition, and that's why we love it. Grozos inviting some pressure here on Ingham. Right in front of the Rockdale Ilinden supporters down in the corner. Well, to be fair, they're everywhere, but the loudest bunch of supporters.
Oh, you'd hate to be playing on that side. Dane Ingham's got a big job just to keep his discipline, because when you have that sort of attention, shall we say, you've got to keep your head, you've got to do your football, let your football do the talking, and just trying to block all that out, really.
So the long throw, and it's Urashevsky who's powering in towards Rusciuto. Problems here for Newcastle initially. Natter into legs, and then Grimaldi went the aerial route. And Newcastle all of a sudden away. Clayton Taylor, he just left it behind him. Too quick even for the rolling football.
And it's worth mentioning as well, probably for the Newcastle Jets, not a lot of football practice on an artificial surface, is there? And coming into these sorts of games, it's a different surface to contend with. Rockdale certainly the team used to playing on this surface at home.
Constable taking on Wilmering, those two ex-Western Sydney Wanderers Academy products, and he is filthy. He's wondering how it's a goal kick, and to be honest, I'm wondering as well. Dan Wilmering saying, no, it's all good, goal kick.
Well, Constable got himself away there from Wilmering and possibly takes another touch there. It certainly looked like a corner to me. And possibly the linesman just seeing something different.
Yeah, the former young Socceroo, Lockie Constable, understandably unimpressed. And now a flag up against Vidic, it would seem, for being offside. Pelikanos in a foot race with Grozos. Another ex-Western Sydney Wanderers battle going on there. He's been one of the key cogs in the Rockdale Ilinden midfield this season as Dan Pelikanos.
And he loves to make that late run as well, which really helps out the likes of Urashevsky, who can do everything, by the way, taking this long throw as well.
Plenty of height on it. Caused problems last time, may do so again here, but Taylor away momentarily. Speranza. Griffiths in behind Urashevsky. Couldn't find his man at the back post.
Just tried to be a little bit cute there, didn't he? And possibly needed a little bit of venom. Just hit it across that 6-yard box. But great little play to get it over to Urashevsky in the first place. And that ball there could have stayed lower and caused more of a problem for the Newcastle Jets.
And just on Urashevsky, he actually was offered an injury replacement deal with MacArthur a couple of years ago. But due to his work as a baker, he said, no, I'm happy in my life. I need to stay in my job at the moment. So MacArthur had to go out hunting. They signed Jason Romero in the end, who is also doing really well. He's played well in this competition in years gone by. Clayton Taylor gliding out wide. Clayton Taylor in a one-on-one situation, so dangerous, and he was turning Griffiths inside and out.
They were extremely lucky there, Rockdale, that Blake Rusciuto had his mind switched on to try and help out and double up, because Taylor was away here. Possibly could have had a shot there, that extra touch, trying to get the ball across, but a good cutback opportunity wasted for the Jets.
announced himself on this stage last season, did Clayton Taylor, with that stunning volley against Brisbane Roar. Wins this corner. Newcastle's last set piece was a good one. A goal came from it. And there is the classic commentator's curse, Eric. Costa Grozos falling victim to it.
Well, there is a bit of wind out there tonight. You can see the movement from some of the trees. That's why it's important to try and keep that ball.
Urashevsky in behind. Ryan Scott clearing onto the roof, and he's going to have to hurriedly get back in goal. Urashevsky gets a tug. Ben Abraham not awarding the free kick. Chance still here, and parried away by the Jets goalkeeper. Well, the crowd's up and about here.
Well, they're coming. Rockdale, Ilinden, and on that side, they've got all those supporters behind them. And it's great to see them in full flight, trying to put more pressure. And here comes a corner from Chalakian.
It's a deep delivery, just over the head of Speranza. Wouldn't that be a story? The head tape hero at the back post.
Well, you'd be surprised how often that actually happens. It's a great little move there and a good save from Ryan Scott, as Antonio has got his tail up. He's already got himself a goal tonight. He wants more.
Well, they're just feeling as though they've got the run of things at the moment. Rockdale Ilinden, after that opportunity. Griffiths curling it onto the head in the end of Ingham. He didn't know too much about it. Natta got it away momentarily, and the volley testing out Ryan Scott was Giorgio Speranza. He scored in this competition against the Mariners back in 2017. He almost added to the account there. Pelikanos. This time the delivery bounces on the way through to Scott.
Well, what was the team talk from Nick Stavroulakis? Because Rockdale have come out a different beast, and they've won back possession again.
Really have to take it. Oh, is this a penalty? On the edge of the area is the decision from Ben Abraham.
Big pressure applied, and it's about winning that ball back and quickly playing it through to the danger man, Urashevsky. I thought he looked as though half his body was inside, but there was contact. Oh, he tried to get himself in the box, didn't he? He's a smart customer, Alec Urashevsky. But a good forward pass there from Chalaki, and you can see that's the alternative for them, trying to find a way into his feet.
So Urashevsky, 36 goals in all competitions for the Baker this season. Everyone holds their breath. Urashevsky into the wall, deflects away. There were appeals for handball. Ben Abraham saying it was shoulder. Rashuto obviously disagreeing. It's a corner though.
I think it was Clayton Taylor there, just getting his head in the way. And that's brave defending. He did not stray away from that one.
And another set piece. In it comes Griffiths, who's throwing himself about at that near post. His eyes will be watering, Clayton Taylor, after that one. And Pelikanos' delivery on the stretch is going to just relieve the pressure which was building on Newcastle.
Well, generally speaking, when the building of pressure is there, you don't play it short, as we're going to see. Possibly get everybody up the pitch. And Urashevsky, that possibly was going wide or high. It was like his body shape was not really structured in front, but possibly some changes for the Newcastle Jets. They can feel this game possibly getting away from them.
So Eli Adams getting his instructions from Damir Pradanovic, and it's Justin Vidic who he replaces. What a night from Justin. 2 goals. Chris Bowling congratulating him, and could not have asked for a better night. Justin Vidic, who just showing some signs of fatigue. And Eli Adams, the new recruit, debuted for the Jets last week. Came from a Melbourne Victory where he played just 15 times over the last 2 seasons, just 2 starts. So more opportunity, hopefully, for him at the Jets. Here comes another corner. How good is this? Cup football at its best. And this has a lot of rip on it. Speranza. And Constable tried to knock it back into the box. Now Newcastle. Away through Wilmering. Smart from the former Western Sydney boy.
It's a completely different game, isn't it? And we're seeing that physical side of Rockdale coming in on and off the ball. It was Wilmering trying to get himself forward.
Real pressure. Massive pressure on Grimaldi. Antonio was charging through, and Ben Abraham says it's going to be a goal kick. Well, Newcastle are sweating bullets at the moment. Rockdale are coming at them from all angles.
Well, when the Wolves are at the door, you don't open the door. You shut it and you throw away the key. And that's exactly what Ryan Scott is doing now. Finally getting his players up the pitch to try and release that pressure and get the ball in the other end of the pitch.
Wilmering flicking it on towards Timmins. But it's a match which sits on the precipice at the moment, because both sides know Newcastle score next. 2-goal lead, half an hour to go. It's going to be tough to track that down, but Rockdale get the next goal. Momentum, home crowd. It's just sitting there for one of these two sides to take.
It's getting physical, man. It was Dunzo just getting stuck in, trying to stop that supply chain. They know once the Jets get moving, they are dangerous in the wide areas. And here's another set piece. Can they capitalise here?
Grozos. Eli Adams throwing himself about, making himself a real nuisance there in the box. And does enough to earn a corner for the Jets, and Grozos a chance to make amends for the previous set piece from this side. Soris's punch straight up in the air. Danzo gets it away. Now Natta tries to swivel. And the whistle goes the way of Rockdale.
Oh, they get away with it there. Soris coming out. And here's a substitution for Rockdale Ilinden.
So Kataoka coming on. Their Japanese import. He's played in the lower leagues in Japan, replaces Brendan Chilakian. He actually won the Japanese 4th division back in 2022 with Nara Club, and then he's been playing in the J3 league last season before coming over to Australia with Rockdale in 2024. Eli Adams wriggled free of a couple, and then it was a delayed fall to the floor, and Ben Abraham, the referee, read it well.
He wasn't going to be giving that one away, I don't think, but Rockdale, they've got another chance here. They've got to get themselves to keep applying that pressure on the Newcastle Jets.
Forward the cry from Rob Stanton on the Jets bench, and it brings a corner. Rashuto just sticking a leg out, maybe a little miscommunication with the goalkeeper Nick Soris.
I just wonder if the Jets can muster something different here and get it away from the tall timber that Rockdale Ilinden possess in the Speranza brothers, and Rashuto in there, and it's Wilmering. They're going to try and swing this one in again on top of the goalkeeper, it looks like.
Grimaldi a target. Eli Adams gives them a bit more height in that area, but not a whole lot to pick from. And Soros right underneath it. And that's what Alex Schuschneier is going to bring for Newcastle. He's on the bench for the Jets, the former Socceroo. Came off the bench last week against Western United, but they are lacking a little bit of height from those set pieces.
Yeah, and you wonder where he fits into this side. And, you know, it's only early days for, you know, the Newcastle Jets, but if he's not already starting and coming into the fixture, he must be an afterthought at this point in time. So for Schuschneier, it's about trying to get himself into that starting 11 already. Robbie Stanton making it very clear that nobody's place is safe in this Newcastle Jets side.
Yeah, I do know that Schuschneier arrived late for the Newcastle Jets pre-season, so just getting that fitness up. It's going to be a fascinating battle for those centre-back roles for the Jets. They've got Kankar, who's out with a hamstring injury, Schuschneier, Grimaldi, Natter. It's a good little battle that Rob Stanton's got for those centre-back roles, and then Ben Van Dawson, the scholarship player. And speaking of the other end of the pitch, Lockie Rose, he's looks to be just having a chat, maybe passing on some words of wisdom to Justin Vidic.
Well, he's not warming up as well, Ben, so it's a difficult one.
Floated in, dangerous ball. Almost used his smarts just to nod it over the head of Ryan Scott, did Alek Urashevsky.
He really loves to play off the shoulder, doesn't he, Urashevsky? So many different facets to his game playing as a number 9. He's all across that front line, so flexible, and they will look to him in these later stages of the game, trying to get involved. There's Kateoka.
And Urashevsky in behind for a moment, it looked, but Grimaldi just sticking out a boot. Often does that. He has a habit of just getting the boot in at the right time. Nathan Grimaldi made his A-League debut for Newcastle last season after coming through the Sydney FC system. And he spotted Clayton Taylor. And Timmins just let it run away from him and allowed Prosciutto to nip in and pinch it back.
They were out of position there, Rockdale. Griffiths out of position, and the Newcastle Jets had a great opportunity actually to exploit an opportunity to get inside the box. And Nick Stavroulakis, I know he'll be thinking they need more. They're a goal down. They still need to find that response, and who's it going to come from?
Crozos sends it the way of Aquilina. He's been more of a peripheral figure tonight, Tom Aquilina, after he was the 2-goal hero in Darwin last week. Scarcella squeezed in there by Kataoka and Antoniou. So by Antoniou, the only goal scorer at this stage for Rockdale. Half an hour in, got that equaliser, but you just think back to that moment right before halftime. Justin Vidic getting on the end of a scrappy clearance from Rockdale and making it 2-1 to Newcastle, and that's where the scoreline still remains.
And that's what good goal scorers do, don't they? They get those scrappy goals. They understand where the ball might fall from a set-piece opportunity. And Newcastle Jets know that they've got a different weapon this season to play through the middle, possibly as Stamopoulos did as well. But they've got options now for Robbie Stanton. That's the biggest thing, and the biggest excitement, I think, for Jets fans. They're going to have a lot of flexibility in the way that they play this season.
Grimaldi. So the pressure right on Grimaldi there, and Rockdale just sensing a moment. Here's a free kick. Pelikanos. A neat turn. And Ingham just uses all of his experience. He looks to be having a little chuckle with the home fans.
It's brilliant to see. Nothing worse when you play on the wings or at the right back position, as Dane Ingham is, having to endure the abuse from the local side. It's great to see him keep his head as well and just draw that foul and frustrate them even further.
I thought he might say something like, come on guys, I've marked Cristiano. I don't know if he marked, but I've played against Cristiano Ronaldo when he was with the All Whites back in 2017 in the Confederations Cup. Kataoka, nudged by Natta. The card swiftly out of the pocket from Ben Abraham. And Rockdale players swarm the referee. Scarcella also coming across to have a little word as well.
Well, the Jets midfield was out of position there, and that's a really smart foul from Mark Natta. He also had to come a long way to try and close down who is now their playmaker, Kataoka. And he will take a lot of these set pieces now in the absence of Chalaki. And just there, he was breaking forward. They needed help. They needed support. And Natta, he just made sure that he was going absolutely nowhere.
So a similar kind of set piece position of where Newcastle scored before half time, but totally different outcome. Just having a look at those other matches as Grimaldi clears up towards Adams. Aquilina uses Adams, tiptoes down the sideline, gets a little tug, and now the yellow ticket is out for Rashuto.
Well, the referee may as well just carry one of those in his hand. He's giving out yellow cards for fun at the moment. It's that sort of game. The stakes are very, very high. Rockdale making a double substitution.
Well, here's a man that can really make a difference. Yinka Sunmola, a one-time Mariner, played in the A-League last season, or I should say the season before last. Made his debut off the bench against Brisbane. And Hunter Elliott, who played on the weekend, started on the weekend at right back. He comes on to the field as well. So Sunmola's certainly a player who can find a goal. He's got a couple this season. He's also scored a couple in the cup. Scored in the semi-final win against NWS Spirit recently. Taylor taking on Elliott. So just some fresh legs there at right back to try and deal with Taylor. Wilmering came in. Down he went. Grozos calms things down for the Jets for the moment.
It's good possession this from the Jets. Not easy to play when it's like this. It's a poor giveaway, but they've got to try and keep the ball and not allow Rockdale to just get that ascendancy. They know at home that they can feel something coming, and they've got fresh legs. Hunter Elliott trying to make that work.
So just confirmation we saw there. Elliott on for Speranza. Giorgio Speranza. The 20-year-old on for the 33-year-old. So Nick Stavroulakis just wanting some younger legs to try and handle this Newcastle Jets left side, which contains Wilmering and Taylor. He did well, Speranza. Constable hammers it back across. Just no one in the position to convert that opportunity, and now Aquilina. Danzo. He looks up. Urashevsky was just shaping a tight angle for Alek Urashevsky. Cordoned off by Grimaldi. And now Sunmola got caught under the boot, but so too for the Jets. And that's from the Newcastle Jets bench. You can hear the message, keep the ball. In simple terms, Constable. Eli Adams has given it away. Timmins. Timmins may have been collected late there, but Eli Adams is just sauntering upfield now. Would love a free kick. He was looking for it. Drops it back for Scarcella. Grozos just letting Sunmola know. Those two, of course, knowing each other from their time at Western Sydney. I think those two were involved in a little bit of chat in the group chat during the week, and Costa just continued it on the field there.
Well, how good's the energy shown from both sets of players, but it's Rockdale that's having to chase now, and they're having to risk a little bit, and they've got at least 3 or 4 players forward that they've got to go and shut the ball down quickly. The Jets' utilisation of the ball is key now for the next 15 or 20 minutes or so, and manage this game. Is it about trying to get a chance, or is it about trying to keep possession? They're the 2 key things for Robbie Stanton right now.
Well, things have just got very, very interesting in the Australia Cup. I'll reveal that just after Christian Bracco comes onto the field. Made his senior debut last week against Western United. And you can see Daniel Collins coming on. He was the hero in the 87th minute on Sunday against Apia, winning that 2-1. So Scarcella comes off, Bracco on. This is a big call because Bracco, he's not on a scholarship deal. He's been playing with the Newcastle Jets youth team this season, who are in the 3rd tier in New South Wales, and they are winning that competition. They're probably 1 win away from securing promotion up to the 2nd tier in New South Wales. So that's 1 below the NPL New South Wales, which is huge for Newcastle because it just gives their youth team players better quality of competition.
Yeah, it's just great to see them getting opportunities in the big games where they will learn things. It's no good playing friendlies all the way through the pre-season and possibly not having great competition, but this game tonight against a vocal home crowd, everything backs against the wall type stuff, it's going to be a great learning curve from him.
Sunmola dancing away from Ingham initially. Now the blue shirts arrive, paying homage to Newcastle Breakers of years gone by. This Newcastle Jets kit, which is just fabulous. Love a nod to history. And Wilmering rips a clearance up the line. Sunmola versus Ingham, then Aquilina comes to help out his right back. And Sunmola couldn't slip the pass through. Grimaldi.
Really good in tight areas. Rockdale keeping that ball, looking for each other, and it's about when they lose it, how quickly can they regather possession. The referee, he's blown the other way.
Well, the fans went up everywhere, and Ben Abraham put the whistle to the mouth.
Well, could this be an option for Daniel Collins? We saw a pretty scrappy goal from a set piece on the weekend, and potentially another set piece delivery from Kataoka is going to cause all sorts of mayhem in the box here for the Jets.
The delivery punched away by Scott. They will get to recycle and go again. That was neat towards Speranza at the near post. Another corner on the way here. Rockdale are banging on the door now. We've seen an equaliser in the Blacktown Adelaide game. 1-1 in that one. Are we about to see an equaliser here? Constable into the leg of Aquilina. He is quick, but he can't get there. Constable retaining possession. Sunmola almost had it picked off him. Danzo. And Newcastle away through Taylor. It wasn't his best clearance. Urashevsky trying to trick his way past Taylor, who did his defensive responsibilities. Newcastle could be away here through Bracco and slip the pass wide to Grozos. Bracco to Grozos. Space aplenty out to the right. Just a little behind Aquilina.
That's comfortable for the Jets, isn't it? It's good to see them keeping their heads under all this pressure when they break now.
Urashevsky on the turn, looks up, sees the run of Constable. So too Rashuto, the centre-back, pushing forward. He's been given a licence to hunt for an equaliser. Adams getting a nick from behind from Kataoka. And that'll please the Jets at this point in the game.
That was a special turn there from Eli Adams, just to nullify that threat that they posed, trying to nip in and get stuck in and winning those first and second and even third balls at the moment, Rockdale, and it's trying to relieve that pressure, but here they come again.
Collins. Hero on the weekend, not with that delivery. Still plenty of time though for the NPL New South Wales leaders. That man Collins, he's won big games in the past. NPL New South Wales Championship with Blacktown in the not too distant past. Danzo.
They'll start to get desperate now, Rockdale. They know there's 10 minutes to play, plus stoppage time, to try and force this game to go into extra time. And, you know, who would bet against Rockdale Ilinden at this point in time, the way that they've been playing this year?
Well, what a night of cup football. We've got goals all round. Brisbane City have grabbed one back against Western Sydney, so it's only 2-1 there in Queensland. So Western Sydney leading 2-1. 1-1 Blacktown Adelaide, 2-1 Jets here. Early days, Perth Red Star leading Lions 1-0. That'll be a big result for Perth up against Lions, one of the powerhouses from Queensland. Wilmering looked to flick it into the space of Taylor. Adams somehow emerges with possession, and Soros claims.
Always difficult to run with the ball on the artificial surface as well. It does get a little stuck under the foot sometimes, and I think if they're going to try and get themselves into wide areas, Rockdale, they'll do a better job if they go and double up in the wide areas, try and get support and an overload rather than trying to go by themselves as individuals. You can see it right now. There's room there for Sunmola, but one-on-one, he needs help out in those positions.
You're basically saying it's a better option to play the pass on the synthetic in a number of cases than take on a defender. And that is exactly what they do here through Constable. His delivery cleared away by Natta. And it's so often on the synthetic, those kind of crisp forward balls are so damaging.
And so unpredictable at times as well. You think the ball's going to come to you and it skids off that surface and keeps going. And Urashevsky's going to launch another long throw in here for Rockdale.
There's some good distance on the throw. Grimaldi got it away. Every time it's been hairy for Newcastle. 8 minutes remaining. Rob Stanton watching on nervously. Last season, Newcastle were pretty comfortable. They were looking against Brisbane in the round of 32. Brandon O'Neill was sent off in the second half and went into extra time. They went down 3-2. Sunmola versus Ingham. Sunmola to the byline. Newcastle sweep it clear. Constable. And it just evades Danzo. Kataoka was a little in front of the ball.
And a good job now for the Newcastle Jets to be in those banks of 4 and try and defend this onslaught they're going to have from Rockdale in the last 10 minutes here. Here we go again.
And Constable just not on the same page there as Hunter Elliott. Ooh, Kataoka diving in. Grozos took a tumble.
Well, he actually had time to get himself all the way around there and prevent that ball from going out. But he just thought, I'm just going to go to ground here and see what happens. But he didn't realise he went through the back of Costa Grozos there. Just shielded that one out. He's trying to ask for the corner as well.
Constable has been really busy in the last few minutes. He's had his moments tonight, but he really seems to be coming to the fore here. Showing his fitness in the late stages of this one. Constable feeding Danzo here. Griffiths. Sunmola. Two Jets coming across. Got a little touch. Corner. Rockdale.
He's doing a lot of dancing, Sunmola, on that side and not having a lot of joy because the Jets have understood he's the man they've got to go and try and close down. And potentially that's why this substitution's being made as well.
I doubt they're going to... Oh, here we go. So they are going to make a change at a defensive set piece, are they? No, surely not. They are Newcastle. You don't often see this.
It's a difficult one because Sushna's great in the air, isn't he? But, you know, if this ends up in the back of the net, then you watch it back on the video and say, that was a mistake.
So Sushna is going to sprint in. Second appearance for Newcastle off the bench, both of them. And he's getting himself about there in the hustle and bustle with Daniel Collins, and they go short, Rockdale. Off the back of it, Jet. Scott with the punch, and he blazes over Lachlan Griffiths. What an opportunity. And there's a bit of push and shove in the box here. Looks like Urashevsky. Shushnia. He's having a few words as well. He's only been out there for about 30 seconds.
Well, it was criminal defending. There's no way Newcastle Jets should have allowed that opportunity to occur, getting two players out free as a bee on the edge of the box. Danzo to whip that one in, and anything could have happened, and they get away with it, Newcastle Jets.
Griffiths, the Canberra United Academy product. Almost able to find that equaliser for Rockdale. Newcastle, meanwhile, at the other end through Eli Adams. Looked for the back heel. May go himself, Eli Adams. was withstanding challenge after challenge, and he very nearly had a chance to shoot on goal.
If he's a little bit older and a bit nastier, he possibly would have gone down there. It was a great opportunity for him to do so. There was contact that was made, stopping him taking that next step. And you don't want to see people cheating in the game, but if somebody's making contact in the box, stopping you from shooting, you've got to play your cards.
I just wonder whether he may have had that moment earlier in the game where he went down a little late after contact and he second-guessed himself on that occasion. Eli Adams, Risciuto, Danzo, and Grimaldi coming forward in front of Kataoka. Timmins then throwing the body about. Spills for Constable. One of their best in the last few moments, Lockie Constable. Urashevsky, Constable across the face. Grozos away. And Wilmering, does he earn a free kick? It doesn't seem likely. He's grabbing at a calf. You'd think it's probably cramp.
Great action. It was great action from Rockdale to find that extra pass inside the box. It really is. And it's all about Lockie Constable just trying to play passes, and Urashevsky could have had a shot himself, but he knows just keep feeding this player the ball. He's on fire at the moment. Here comes that long throw.
And it's Griffiths getting up. Pressure came from Risciuto there on Ryan Scott. Blake Risciuto spent some of his career playing in Uruguay. He knows the hustle and bustle of these kind of moments where it gets quite willing, and that's what it's going to come down to in these final minutes. Can Rockdale scrap and scrounge an equaliser? 90 seconds of the 90 remaining. No doubt there'll be some stoppage time. 3 to 4 minutes you'd probably anticipate. Elliott, that delivery cut out by Schuschneier. One of his first involvements for Newcastle in this one.
What's really impressed me tonight about Rockdale is their ability to go and create a chance and get themselves forward to make that cross. A lot of teams being 2-1 down, 89th minute, would just opt to get it in the box and lump it in. They're still trying to carve out opportunities.
Well, this was the period of the game. They found the winner on the weekend. Can they find an equaliser from the corner? It was floated up by Kataoka. Well, the clearance wasn't Eli Adams' best. Shoulder to the wheel here for Newcastle. All about defence. Urashevsky earns a throw. Probably another long throw from Malek Urashevsky. Launches it in there. Appeals for handball. It's another corner though.
You can be sure they're going to be appealing for absolutely everything in these final 3 minutes or so. But this is the corner. This is the corner they have to defend here, the Newcastle Jets.
They won't be taking this one short. 3 minutes of additional time. Kataoka. Great shape. Grimaldi away. Then flicked on by Aquilina. And Tom Aquilina wins the ball for Newcastle. And a roar from him as well. It was these kind of moments when Newcastle gave up goals last season, late in games, whether to draw or to lose. Can they show what they've learnt in the management? Risciuto.
It was picture perfect, that opportunity for Risciuto. It really was. And you asked about the Newcastle Jets. It's great to see them holding their own defensively in these moments, but how do they get themselves out of trouble? Sometimes that's all it takes, that ball over the top to relieve pressure, but they're not holding any possession and allowing Rockdale to keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. And right now it's about management, the last 90 seconds or so.
Well, that's what Rob Stanton said to me yesterday when I had a chat to him. He said, we need to manage this game really well. And that's what I'm sure, looking back on last season, he knows there were games that they didn't manage well at the back end. So they've got about 80 seconds remaining to keep this lead intact, and they're through to the last 16 for just the third time in club history. Wilmering away, but it runs from Taylor. Collins, and just too much pressure against the sideline for Elliott to cope with. The Rockdale Ilinden fans making themselves known here, but unfortunately for them, it's looking as though it is going to be a losing cause for the home side. Yellow card handed out to Wilmering for just delaying. Speranza clears it away. All on the generosity now of Ben Abraham. The 3 minutes of additional time has expired. Newcastle may be looking for one final chance, but it's the team in red and blue. They are through to the last 16 of the Australia Cup. Just the third time in 10 years of this competition that Newcastle have made it past the round of 32. And despite that record, they maintain their undefeated record against member federation sides in the Cup. Rockdale left to rue their missed opportunities. Their focus now back on the league, on the finals, and on their Waratah Cup final in the coming weeks. Full time at Rockdale Ilinden Sports Centre. Rockdale Ilinden FC 1, Newcastle Jets 2. And Eric Partaloo, Newcastle were made to work for it, but it was steely resolve in the second half that got them there. That's
a gutsy performance from the Jets. I think Robbie Stanton will be really pleased with what he's seen tonight. Two sides of the game. They were really good in that first half, keeping possession, playing pretty football, and in the second had to endure wave after wave of attacks from Rockdale. So it's great to see them get through the next stage of the Cup, and it's just added a few more question marks to really who is their best 11 for the Newcastle Jets and who is their main man up front. Yeah, and considering Rob Stanton's looking to bring in another 3 players, couple of imports potentially, this was the start for Newcastle, and it was Justin Vidic who was put up top for Lockie Rose, and what a call that was from the head coach. You don't normally see these types of goals go in. You see these get blocked all the time, or the big man getting caught with the ball at their feet. But you won't see a better individual goal inside the box, I don't think, this week, because that's just superb. And particularly at the start of the game as well, to have the confidence to take the ball and move it. And they weren't done there. And this was Rockdale's equaliser, and it was the man of the moment so often this season, Alek Urashevsky, this time turning provider, and Antonio scored the equaliser. And it's something I didn't really realise watching it in real time, but the finish here is exquisite from Antonio. If he means to do this, hit it into the ground, because I think the goalkeeper, Ryan Scott, might have just got a claw to that. It's a super finish from Antonio, but all about Urashevsky playing that ball across. And basically the last kick of the first half. This is a killer. Justin Vidic with his second, and they knew it, didn't they, Rockdale? The fans were filthy it's unusual to see them concede from a set piece, and particularly almost like a second phase where they don't clear their lines. Yes, it's lucky, but for Vidic, it's amazing for him to get 2 goals in that first half and really just change that team talk for Robbie Stanton at half-time.
Well, there are the match stats. Well, I think Newcastle have lost XG in the second half. They've been rounded down. They were 0.22 at half-time, 0.21 now. So it just shows you how clinical they were. And Justin Vidic, the probability of those chances, not high. So quality finishes, both of them.
Well, that's football, isn't it? It's all about, can you finish off your chances? And I think for Rockdale Ilinden, they tried ever so hard to make those chances, but they didn't really have anything clear cuts tonight. I don't really remember them being under threat on that back line, so that'll give Robbie Stanton some really confident work to work with in this pre-season. They just started off as well, the Newcastle Jets, so 2 good results in a week in the Australia Cup.
Well, the fixtures for the Australia Cup, there are still many more matches in the round of 32 coming up on Saturday. Perth Glory against Melbourne City in that all A-League battle. The feature match next Tuesday, cannot wait for this one. Daniel McBreen and myself will be there at Jack McLaughlin Oval. The Jaffers, Nikolai Topor-Stanley's team, taking on Melbourne Victory. Edgeworth, who are hosting that Jaffers game, they're actually away to Olympic Kingsway in WA. And important to note as well, tonight, if you want to keep watching some football, Perth Red Star against Lions. Lions up 2-1. That match is at half-time, but we have extra time. Blacktown City and Adelaide United. We are going the distance, so enjoy that one in the Australia Cup tonight. Eric Partaloo, it's been an absolute pleasure. And thanks for your company tonight.
Cheers, mate. I enjoyed that.
The Newcastle Jets, they are smiling. They are going through to the round of 16 of the Australia Cup for just the 3rd time in 10 years of this competition. They'll be smiling all the way back up the freeway. Enjoy the rest of the night of football in the Australia Cup. We'll catch you soon.
So you're getting audio currently, this is live.